Welcome back to PRONEWS. Today we are talking about the Nikon Z8 and let's dive right into the review. First, let's talk about the sensor of this camera. The Nikon Z8 packed a 45.7 megapixel stacked backside illuminated sensor that allows you to have better image quality, better low light performance, faster readout, but also improve autofocus. Now, one unique aspect of the Z8 is that it doesn't have a mechanical shutter. Now, what you do have is a sensor shield that you can use to protect the sensor when you power off the camera. Now, this offers some advantages like silent and faster burst rate. And speaking of burst rate, you can shoot up to 20 frames per second with this camera. Now, when you shoot JPEG, you can go up to 30 frames per second using the Nikon Z8. So this high-speed shooting is really ideal for anybody who is trying to shoot wildlife or sports photography and for whom speed is a must. Moving to the video capabilities of the camera, well, the Nikon Z8 doesn't disappoint. You can shoot 8K up to 30 frames per second without any crop, 4K 120 frames per second, and you also have the capabilities to shoot ProRes RAW, ProRes HQ 422, H.265, N-Log, and even more. This camera is very capable when it comes to the video aspect. Okay, so now let's move to ergonomics and build quality. Well, the Nikon Z8 is built like a rock. It's extremely solid, a bit big, but that is not a problem because it feels really good in hand and you kind of have this DSLR kind of feel, right? Some people want to move to mirrorless but still want to have a thicker body that they can feel comfortable holding in their hand and that they will not be tired holding all day. Well, this is pretty much the body that you want if you're looking something more compact than the Z9. Build quality wise, the EVF is hands down the best EVF that I've ever used with a 120 frames per second refresh rate. It feels clear, it feels huge when you look at it. It is smooth. The transition between dark and very light area is very gradual and it feels extremely comfortable to use. The screen itself, very good, very solid. It doesn't feel like it's gonna move at all when you tap on it or when you use it. Now, this is not a flippable screen, this is an articulated screen with a three-way articulation. Now, the Z8 is also weather resistant, meaning that you will be able to bring it if it's rain, in a dusty environment, etc. So overall, the build quality of the Z8 is very, very good. You pretty much don't have anything to say when it comes to build quality in there. It is built well, you can feel that it is gonna last a long time, and there is no real problem with it. Now, the Nikon Z8 ergonomic is a little bit different from what you can be used on other cameras such as Canon or Sony or Fuji. You don't have a direct PASM dial or whatever here. Basically, you control everything through your menu system or through your touchscreen. You can switch easily from still mode to video mode with a simple switch on the back side of the camera. Overall, I would say that the way the camera feels, it's extremely comfortable to operate, quite intuitive in terms of the button. However, when we move to the menu system is, in my opinion, not the best and could be improved by having a little bit more categories because sometimes you have to scroll down, I don't know how many times to find the options that you want to change. And just for that, I would say that I'm not a huge fan of the menu system. The Z8 comes with a microphone port, a mini jack port, an HDMI, and two USB-C. Now, why would you need two USB-C? One is for data transfer, the other one is purely for power supply. And this is great for people who need to use this camera for long-lasting event or concert or whatever, right? Now, in terms of data storage, you have one CF Express slot and one SD card slot. And having the option to have one SD and one CF Express Type B, well, basically give you the option to choose the workflow that works best for you based on the project that you're working on. So having both is good. In terms of autofocus performance, well, the Z8 packs tons of features and tons of subject detection. You can detect people, animal, vehicle, airplanes, and that's pretty much summarizes what people need. Now, in the test that I made, I would say that the autofocus works well, it sticks to the subject, it finds the subject easily. However, from time to time, I would say that it gets confused once you have several subjects of the same type within a frame. Let's say if you have 2 humans or 2 birds or whatever that you're trying to track, from time to time you can see it just switching from one to another. But overall, it works really well, and I would say that it's almost on par with the one of Sony on the A7R5. Okay, let's talk about battery life. Now, with this Z8, even if the camera is pretty big, now the battery that it packs, it's quite small. Now, with this particular battery, if you shoot at 4K 60, you will have about 1.5 hours of continuous shooting. And if you shoot at 4K 30, that will go up to 1 hour and 40 minutes. Now, if you need more than this, don't forget that you have access to a specific USB-C power delivery port, so just power it up. And if you are worried about overheating, well, this camera can handle 8K 30 for 90 minutes. Okay, so now you know pretty much all the features in these cameras. I wanted to talk about what is different compared to the Z9, right? Because the Z8 is pretty much the same thing, the same capabilities of a Z9 with a smaller body. So what do you sacrifice when you move from the Z9 to the Z8? Well, first, you don't have the battery grip that naturally comes with the Z9, so meaning that you sacrifice a little bit of battery life, but you still have the power delivery. Second, the Z8 only have one CF Express slot, while the Z9 has 2. So if this is important for you to be able to dual shoot on 2 CF Express at the same time, then the Z9 is a better option. Additionally, the Z8 does not come with integrated GPS functionalities, which can be important for, let's say, landscape photographers or travel photographers who travel the world, or journalists, and who wants to make sure that they have GPS coordinates of whatever they shoot. And it also lacks some of the customizable buttons, as well as dedicated Ethernet port, which you can basically replace with one of the USB-C ports. At this price range of $4,000, if we compare the Nikon Z8 to its competitor, the Sony A7R5 and the Canon R5, in my opinion, the Nikon Z8 is just a much more powerful tool that packs tons of features, especially for video, and that will suit pretty much any professional out there. Now, while it has some missing features, I do believe that this much more compact body of the Z8 compared to the Z9 make it for a really attractive option for professionals who need to be on the move, right? If you are transporting this camera, if you want something a bit more compact without sacrificing too much functionalities, I do believe that currently the Z8 is definitely the best camera, and it is the best camera that I have used at this price range of $4,000. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And by the way, if you don't follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, then make sure to do so, because that's where we release our latest news and freshest news when it comes to camera gear. So make sure to follow us, and I'll leave some links in the description. Thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.